Welcome to Together for Education in Ames podcast, where we have meaningful conversations on the state of our local school districts. Schools should be a place of hope for children where they can come and learn without fear of being judged or labeled. We advocate for unity in our student population and excellence in education. I'm Kira Werstein, your host. Hosting with me today is Sadrak Aleman and Jennifer Pinto. In today's episode, we'll start with some brief introductions, and then we will jump right into the heated and controversial topic of vaccine mandates in the workplace, specifically in this episode for teachers. Cedric and Jennifer are both teachers, and so we'll get to hear their thoughts on a mandate, and then we'll finish with implications for teachers and our listeners today. So again, my name's Kira Werstein. I'm a college teaching professor and mother of 3 children in the Ames School District.
I'm Sadrak Aleman. I'm a Spanish teacher in the Ames Gilbert area.
And I'm Jennifer Pinto, and I'm an educator in the Ames Community School District.
Well, first, just let me follow up our last episode where we heard from Cedric about his experience in the Ames district, where he made a social media post and then he was reprimanded for that. He mentioned that there is now an employee expression policy that was passed in Ames shortly after his experience last spring, and it may have been related to his situation. Our team went back and found the board meeting where this new employee expression policy was passed. It was September 15th of this fall that now regulates what employees can say on social media platforms. Interestingly, this policy was passed at this board meeting without any discussion. So there are many teachers and staff that I am confident are not even aware of this policy. The policy says, I'm reading from it here, that this policy applies to all district employees. When employees speak within their official capacity, their expression represents the district and may be regulated. It goes on to say, employees who use social media platforms are encouraged to remember that the school community may not be able to separate employees as private citizens from their role within the district. Employee expression, including employee expression on social media platforms that interferes with or has an adverse impact on district operations and or negative impacts on employees' ability to perform their job for the district or prevents the district from functioning efficiently and effectively may result in disciplinary action up to and including termination. Jennifer, were you aware that this employee expression policy was passed?
I had briefly read through that just because I am trying to stay in the know of what's going on for us teachers. And so I was aware of that.
Oh, sorry, did I cut you off?
That's like, but I'm going to say that I think it's correct that a lot of teachers don't.
Yeah. And so when I read that, there's some gray area. And so how is it decided if things are negatively impacted? That could be somewhat subjective. So I want to recognize that, Jennifer, you're here as an individual, but you are brave to step out and talk with us given what happened to Cedric and other employees in the district. And I do want to encourage you that even within this, I didn't read this excerpt from it, but it does recognize in this employee expression policy that the First Amendment protects public employee speech when the employee is speaking as an individual on a matter of public concern. And that's what you're here today doing. You're not speaking on behalf of the district.
No. As an individual, I'm here to speak on behalf for myself and just to be able to talk about these topics and concerns.
Totally. And I am grateful as a parent and a community member. We don't really know what's going on the inside of the school. We get a statement from the district, which appears unified, but we don't really know if there are people teachers and staff that don't agree with what the climate actually looks like. So I'm grateful for you and other teachers who shed light on that. Now, just giving a little background, we are all aware that of the highly contentious vaccine mandates at the federal level that's been recently being discussed at the Supreme Court level, that businesses with 100 or more employees were to be vaccinated or to submit a negative COVID test weekly to enter the workplace. And so that was debated at the Supreme Court level. And locally, this has been debated in our public schools as far as whether teachers and staff will also be mandated to get the vaccine. After OSHA made this announcement and the recent announcement at the federal level, there's many local boards that discuss this policy for their district. And some of them even voted on it and passed a mandate preemptively before it even passed at the federal level. Jennifer and Cedric, as local teachers, can you shed some light on what that looked like in your district?
I feel like I'm going to speak for me right now. Like, why doing it, before things were, decided? Like, why putting teachers in, making teachers concerned? Like, okay, what am I going to do? Do I do it? Do I go ahead and submit whatever paper work they're asking me to submit? Like, why going ahead instead of waiting and telling their teachers, don't worry, we're going to wait and see what is decided, and then we will, meet together and decide together. So I that was one of my things going on, like, why going ahead instead of saying, let's wait and then decide.
And that's how your district responded, is that right? And
I feel like my district, I think Ames got their email before Christmas.
Yeah.
Merry Christmas, to you teachers. I feel like at least our district was, I don't know, I would say more professional on waiting and saying, let's let the teachers enjoy their Christmas, enjoy their break. And when they come back, let's say something. But right now, let's not stress them, let's let them enjoy their break, which they have been working really hard to get, and let's just let it wait, let's just wait.
Yeah, and then when you got back from the break, the staff got an email from your superintendent, and would you be open to sharing what was explained in that?
The one that was okay. So it says on Friday afternoon, Governor Reynolds, when I have it here. Sorry,
sure,
it's too
no
small. Governor Reynolds sent out an announcement that the federal OSHA case heard by the Supreme Court has not yet ruled on the case. However, the Iowa Division of Labor has submitted a notice that Iowa will not be adopting or enforcing the vaccination mandate. Therefore, Gilbert Community School District will not require vaccinations and will not enforce policy that was required by federal OSHA beginning immediately.
Okay, so they're saying, hey, it's not required by OSHA at the state level. We're not requiring it in this district.
Correct.
Jennifer, what information did you receive?
Well, we got the email the last day before break. That morning, I immediately reached out to contact HR and the district office nurse, and they were not in the office. And we were just told that we had to submit our information by the 10th, I believe it was.
Yes.
And you had to submit your vaccination status.
Yeah.
By the 10th of January. Or else what?
Or request a waiver.
Okay.
If we were not vaccinated.
And in addition to that, there's the requirement of weekly
testing.
Okay.
And wearing a mask, which we are still doing that.
Right. And I have the note right here that was sent, the message to the staff in Ames. And it says, you are being notified of this now to allow additional time to complete the process before January 10th, the date that OSHA will start enforcement, even though it hadn't been determined yet.
Right.
Then it goes on to say, we understand not all employees are comfortable with these new policy requirements. However, Ames School District must comply with OSHA standards or face penalties for noncompliance. Employees who do not comply with the Ames School District updated vaccination or weekly testing policy may face disciplinary action up to and including termination. How did that land with teachers? And surely, I mean, I'm not expecting that you would speak on behalf of the entire district, but maybe just with your close colleagues, or how did it influence at all the climate?
It did for a few of us. Definitely. Going on to break, thinking, are we going to have a job if we don't comply? What does this mean? It did change for a few of us.
Because you're debating over the break. I guess maybe I could take a step back. Could you maybe tell us your thoughts on how the policy would influence you directly, specifically?
I do stand for medical freedom. That's what our country was founded on, was freedom. And there's, from what I have researched, there has been no medical mandate through OSHA to this extent.
In the past.
In the past. And so, I'm free to choose not to. My colleague, who I work well with, she's free too. And I support what she decides. And that's what I stand for, is that freedom.
Totally. Yeah. You don't want to stand in the way of anybody that wants to get the vaccine. And I mean, I want to be clear too that in this podcast, we are not advocating for an anti-vax position. That's not
Correct.
any of
Correct.
any one of
Right.
us. And so what we are merely discussing is the extent to which these types of medicines, medical choices for an individual, should be allowed to be a choice for a person, for an employee. And we also were given, since we're such a connected group, we were given also the statement that the superintendent from the Boone School District, Julie Treppa, shared with their staff, which reads, as many of you have heard, Iowa OSHA Commissioner made an announcement Friday evening stating that they feel the state OSHA standards are at least as effective as the federal standard change. Therefore, Iowa OSHA is not planning to enforce the federal OSHA. As a result of this announcement, we are pausing our enforcement as well. Those who planned to start masking and testing starting tomorrow do not need to do so at this time. And so what is confusing that I've heard from teachers is it appears that some districts are saying we have to follow the federal and the state, and others are saying we can follow the state. Is there more to it, or is that kind of the consistent confusion that you've experienced, Jennifer?
Yeah. It's, I know people who work in the Polk City district, and they have received, they've received their email as well as Nevada. From what I've gathered, most districts in the area, surrounding area, have the staff have received their emails saying we will not be moving forward with this mandate. But yet, Ames staff still yet has to. We still need to hear.
So, yep. And so, if I'm understanding correctly, this was announced before the break. So, December roughly 20th, that in Ames, you would be required, this policy was passed at the board level. And then January 7th, Iowa OSHA announced that they would not be enforcing at the state level, despite or regardless of what the outcome was for at the federal level with the Supreme Court. And then it was just recently, January 13th, in fact, that the Supreme Court blocked the vaccine or test requirements for large employers. So it's not required at the federal level either. And so sounds like what the confusion is why is there still this policy in the Ames district that has not been rescinded? A number of teachers sent a message to the director of Human Resources, Kristen Johnson, in Ames, and the reply that was sent back from her was as follows. I'm going to read it here. The Ames district is pausing enforcement for the time being as well. It's too soon to know what will happen with the OSHA rule. The federal government is poised to take over OSHA compliance from the states that do not fall in line. The board will still be asked to approve the policy, so it's in place just in case. However, even without a board policy, the district as an employer is required to follow employment laws, both state and federal. So that's what you're getting at. It's confusing. Why are some superintendents, some districts saying, we're going to follow the state, we don't have to follow the federal, but Ames is saying we're going to follow both. And now it's kind of neither here nor there, because at the federal level it was blocked as well, yet this policy still remains. And do you have any insights on why it's...
I don't.
I wonder, just maybe to give the benefit of the doubt, if there has not been a board meeting yet, and perhaps at the next upcoming board meeting, this will again be discussed. The next board meeting's on Monday, the January 24th. They don't have an agenda yet posted, so perhaps there's more to come on that. Along these same lines, I'm curious, Jennifer, if you could share some insights on what has happened in among the staff with this uncertainty.
I know it's not talked a lot about where the building I'm at. But I know there's a few of us who are just confused and don't know what to think of where Ames, what direction they're going.
Well, I also think that besides being confused, a lot of teachers are afraid, you know?
Yes.
Like, am I going to have a job, you know, at the end of the school year? Am I going to have a job next year now? And not just that, like, if I say something, are they going to call me in for a meeting?
Yeah.
What are they going to say to me? Like, I mean, it's not just confusion, but there is fear. Too.
There's, I think, definitely an environment of fear.
Wow.
Within Ames for teachers who stand more on that side of freedom. There is more fear.
Right.
And so I commend you for moving past that and just having courage to share your perspective, knowing that we're going to get a lot of comments in the feedback here, which is a good thing. We want to promote a conversation. So, what do you offer up? Any encouragement to any teachers, either of you, as they navigate this process? I mean, it's new for you also. Mm-hmm. What thoughts do you have for your fellow teachers out there?
But like the one thing that I was talking to with my wife was show up to a board meeting, And I hear a lot of teachers saying, but I don't know what to say. I don't want to sound political, Mm-hmm. And something that my wife says, you just have to say, I don't agree with this, and I'm not going to comply. Mm-hmm. It doesn't have to be a big, long essay mm-hmm. or speech. No, just like stand up and say, I don't agree with this. Mm-hmm. And at least they saw you. There are people standing up with you saying, we don't agree with this. But somebody has to stand up.
Yeah, and so you're not telling anybody else what they're going to do or putting your judgments upon them. Mm-mm. You're just saying, this is my position. Correct. And this is what I am going to do.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And that's something that I was, Jennifer knows my story. When this came up at Gilbert, I had an email ready to send to the superintendent saying why I wasn't going to fill out that first form to start with, because I wasn't willing to share my medical information with him. That's my medical information. Mm-hmm. And I was willing to not do it, and the consequences, well, I was going to have consequences, I bet. But at least they will see that there is somebody that is saying, I'm not going to do this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Jennifer, I think I might have cut you off. Did you have any encouragements for teachers?
I just would encourage teachers to really think individually. If there's something that they don't agree with, that is okay. Mm-hmm. We can agree to not agree with something. We don't have to be completely on the same page. And that, we should be here for each other, no matter what stance we take. Mm-hmm. We are here for the students. And that's what makes us good educators, is to be able to come together to agree, not to agree, if that's what that means.
Yeah, absolutely. And so related to speaking your perspective board meetings, the next one in Ames is Monday, January 24th at 6:30. And that agenda has not yet been posted, but there is always a public forum so you can go and share your perspective. And Jennifer, will you be going?
I plan to be there.
Plan to be there. Okay. And anyone else is certainly welcome to join and share your perspective as well. I just want to wrap up today by thanking you so much for joining us today. We encourage you to subscribe to our YouTube channel and join the conversation. We want to hear your thoughts, because it's together that we build a thriving community in Ames and Central Iowa.